Based on a comic book. Based on a video game. Based on a cartoon. 2G1 presents Based on a...
Welcome everybody to the latest episode of 2G1's Based on a. My name is Ryan McClellan, and today we're going to do something a little different. In past episodes, I've had some guests looking back on their films. I've had cosplayers, local bands, but today we're going to go back in time to 2007. My guests, Iron Man stars Gwyneth Paltrow, Terrence Howard, Robert Downey Jr., Jon Favreau, and the man who steers the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Kevin Feige. I met the cast and crew at San Diego Comic-Con almost a year before Iron Man was even released in theaters. The great thing about meeting everyone is this is really before Marvel movies became Marvel movies. The audio's not the best here. It was a really big room, lots of people. But let's head into the quantum realm and let's travel back to 2007. Kevin Feige started producing films based on Marvel Comics in 2000 as an associate producer on Bryan Singer's first X-Men film. Between 2000 and 2007, Feige would co-produce, associate produce, or executive produce nearly every live-action Marvel film. But wanting more control over their own characters, Marvel made moves to become its own studio, with Kevin Feige leading the charge. Iron Man producer Kevin Feige.
These movies have a time and they have a place, and nobody knows when they are. It's all about when they come together. There were a number of scripts that were developed, we set up at other studios in the past, and for whatever reason, the scripts never quite worked, or the whoever was running the studio at the time didn't quite see it, or didn't quite get it, or the right filmmakers weren't popping up or interested. And we were very lucky that we, as Marvel, got the rights back, and we sat down, and it was a clean slate. We didn't look at or use any of the drafts that had come before. And we said, listen, it's us now. We have no excuses. We're going to have to be the ones to answer the tough questions. Let's look back at the comics. Let's look at the origin, and how can we bring that to life? And when we met with Jon, who had found out about the project and was very interested in it, and we found we were all on the same page, and he was bringing some great things to it as well, it started to come to life, and that's where it is now. And the truth is, again, it was Jon's passion, but you look at his films, there were effects in Elf, there were effects in Zathura, but frankly, there are a lot of directors I could hire if I'm just looking for people with effects experience. I'm looking for people who have a storytelling sense and who have a sense of character, and who can, frankly, be a magnet for great talent, which Jon can be. He's an actor's director. Jon is surrounded by a top-notch team. So the consideration is really about story sense and about ability to direct characters and find moments. And you see that clip that we just showed starts off for 45 seconds of just one shot of an actor talking. It's riveting. And that's Robert, of course, and that's Jon's direction.
There was one director who was eager to get involved making Marvel movies, a director also known for his acting and writing chops. Iron Man director Jon Favreau.
Ami Arad, who I met on Daredevil, and he was talking to me about their getting the properties, they're securing the rights to the properties. I'd always been curious about Captain America. As a character, I loved him. I love the idea of a guy being frozen in ice in World War II and waking up now in the turn of the century. And Iron Man, with the technology you have today, this is the first time you could make this hero. You can make a movie about this hero that stays true to the vision of the books, and has, and you could depict what the suit could do in a way that you never could before.
Iron Man star Terrence Howard.
The reason that Marvel wanted to be independent on this project, so that they wouldn't have the constraints of a studio that was more concerned with marketing than being concerned with the historical authenticity of the film. You know, that's what's more important, to be true creative.
Iron Man director Jon Favreau.
The biggest hurdle was getting the comic book audience to know that we got the right guy playing Tony Stark, that we're handling the movie with the right tone, with the right humor, with the right personality, with the right look. And we get the suit right. Because that's the only people who know who Iron Man is right now, are the fans. Now it's about educating the rest of the public. And Iron Man, although he's a superhero and has all the wonderful aspects of the Marvel tradition of a conflicted, flawed hero.
With Gwyneth Paltrow cast as Pepper Potts, Terrence Howard cast as James Rhodey, and Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane, the biggest coup de grace was landing Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, a casting that comic book fans were head over heels for. Iron Man star Robert Downey Jr.
Well, I mean, right from the beginning, I guess the response to me being cast was good. If it hadn't been good, it would have made me try even. I know there's no even harder. I'm not a incurable perfectionist, but I'm a hard worker. I take it real seriously enough to know that at the end of the day, you have to, by the time you're shooting it, and you've exhausted every opportunity to make it watchable, that then you relax and enjoy it, you know. And there was some enjoyment doing Iron Man. There was a lot of moments of just pure bliss and understanding and feeling at one with the movie universe and the whole thing. But for the most part, we cranked and rocked and worked our asses off and tried to figure out how to not do this scene in the superhero movie ever again the way we've seen it 10 times. We're always trying to put our own fingerprint on it so that it didn't seem like you're just caught up in that technical realm.
Iron Man star Gwyneth Paltrow.
When I found out the players involved, I was like, definitely, I want to do this. Robert was so enthusiastic about it. He called me before. You know, he was so passionate about it, and I'd always wanted to work with him. He's one of my favorite actors. I was very flattered that they wanted me to do it, and I really like all the Marvel guys. Kevin Feige, he really knows what he's doing. And you felt like you were, like I was a stranger in this world, but I felt like I was in really good.
Iron Man producer Kevin Feige.
Robert just kept it all together with the cast and the crew and keeps them entertained, and was on the set. And I think he mentioned in his panel, he literally moved into the production office with us for 2 months before we started filming, just researching the role and researching the character and being a part of some script adjustments we were making. So these people have devoted, a good portion of their time to it. And for a producer who devotes 24 hours a day for years and years, when the people that come on, even if they're only on for 4 months, or if they're on for 6 months, or on for 12 months, it's only a fraction of what the director or the producers are on for. And when they're there and they're that passionate and they give everything to it, like you're giving to it, it doesn't get better than that. Frankly, my favorite thing about it was how passionate they were about the film, how excited they were about being in a movie like this. I've been working on these films now for almost 8 or 9 years, and to see the enthusiasm that people bring to them now, because they understand it's not just the costume show, it's not just playtime for kids. They understand these are big movies that people care about. And when you have people as successful as Gwyneth, and as successful presently as Terrence, and as talented and successful as Downey, to have them all giddy to be in a project like this and bringing everything that they have to it, every day is pretty exciting. Yeah.
While Robert Downey Jr. enjoyed the comparison to Tony Stark, he did not always find the comparison apt. Iron Man star Robert Downey Jr.
I could say that we're similar. He's in better shape, he's smarter, and he's probably a lot more quintessentially manly at the end of the day than I am, or whatever. I don't know how you play that. It's not like I use a different voice. That sense of conflictedness in Tony remains all the way through the origin story. I said I can't do this thing where all of a sudden he has a change of heart and he starts talking like a hell of a guy who's down for the downtrodden. And there's some of that, I guess. It becomes a little more personal. As for the billionaire thing, I drove really cool cars, and I've got this plane that's a mile long, and the only time I've ever gotten used to real wealth and toys and all that was like when I was visiting my other buddies who've done franchise movies.
Iron Man producer Kevin Feige.
He's a billionaire weapons manufacturer, so he is certainly profiting by certain things that he comes to question throughout the course of the film.
Iron Man star Terrence Howard.
You've got to remember, in the comic book, James Rhodes puts on that suit, and as a result of the neural net pattern that Tony Stark had, and has designed the suit according to the frequency of his brain, it changes Rhodes' thinking pattern. Whether Rhodes becomes smarter or not, it's left to be told.
Iron Man star Gwyneth Paltrow.
What attracted me so much to it was that their relationship is really multidimensional. She's very much his confidant, she's the closest person to him, and there's something very loving in a fraternal way, and she's sort of looking after him, but then they have a very kind of bantery, sexy thing happening too, so it moves into different areas.
During the interview, it seemed that everyone was tight-lipped on both cameos in the film and the bad guys who may or may not be featured, though it did seem that the Mandarin would have a bigger role in the Marvel Universe than he would ultimately have in Iron Man 3. Iron Man producer Kevin Feige.
He has a large presence throughout the film. I think Jon has said in a few interviews that it is the Mandarin that as he was in the comic books, is pulling a lot of strings.
Iron Man director, Jon Favreau.
I knew I would do a cameo in the movie, so I wanted to look good. And I was very happy to be in the movie. Very happy. Yeah, I was very happy. There's a lot of speculation about cameos in the movie, and most of them are completely unfounded. And as far as Sam Jackson, as far as I'm concerned, there is only one theory, and that's David Hasselhoff.
While the Marvel films of today may utilize green screen more exclusively, everyone on the first Iron Man film was very proud of the mixture of CGI, physical sets, and practical effects. Iron Man star, Gwyneth Paltrow.
We're at Edwards Air Force Base and the aircraft, it was like happening with tanks rolling around and F-14s. It was exciting, it was amazing.
Iron Man director, Jon Favreau.
There's a lot of CG, but I think that you have to do CG effectively, you have to play a game with the audience where you show them something real and show them something fake, and the fake stuff should look real and the real stuff should look CG. And Stan Winston's design was something where we could work with craftsmen. If you saw the Mark I suit down there, you see a lot of details in it. That keeps ILM honest, and vice versa. If ILM could make this guy acrobatic and fly in the air like you saw, the suit can't be so restrictive that you can't look like the Power Rangers. I didn't want to make it like a PG family fun film because it was Tony Stark, and Tony Stark likes to screw, he likes to drink, and he likes to party, and he likes to drive fast cars, and Iron Man gets rough and tumble.
Iron Man star, Robert Downey Jr.
It's primarily a practically shot movie. And there's so many times when they say, well, we're going to have to CGI that, would be like, wait, hold on. And I think a lot of it also, what was really interesting to Jon and I was, you could just go to where he's in the suit and he escapes, and that's kind of what you'd expect. But every aspect of flight and the technology and the weapons system on the later developments of the suits, it's not like he's out there on a test site. He's basically gone underground. So the only test pilot he has, and again, it was a little bit of a Howard Hughes nod, is the only test pilot he has is himself. And some of it is terrifying and some of it's hilarious, but it's hard not to applaud the guy's that inability to not keep tinkering with something even if it's going to kill him. Oakley Lehman and Mike Justice, and to a lesser degree myself, and then after we were all burned out, there was like another guy who they even brought in like some other guy. I'll get his name in a minute too. He's like the guy. We'd just rotate. We had a support group. I'd be like laid out in the suit and the helmet, and they'd take the helmet off. I'm like, oh. And Justice would be there, like, dude, you okay? I'd be like, are you on tomorrow? He goes, second unit all day. I'd be like, oh, dude. And then next day, between shots, I go to second unit. He'd be like, oh. I'd be, what happened? He goes, no, I fell and I had to tuck my arms. And I go, oh. What do you need? He goes, maybe a little Advil. I'd be like, I'll be right back.
In the end, the cast and crew knew they had something very special on their hands. Not just as a singular film, but as the building block on which an entire universe could be created. Still, during the time of these interviews, it was still more of a pipe dream than a reality. Iron Man star, Terrence Howard.
Perhaps in the future, they'll greenlight other characters or other ethnicities will have a chance doing that based upon how this is accepted. And that means great for me because that means I get to go and be in the Avengers.
Iron Man director, Jon Favreau.
I mean, I don't know how many Iron Man movies you can make before you sort of need to see the Avengers happen. The jury's out on this movie till it comes out, and it's a 2-year process to make these types of movies. So, hopefully between now and if I'm so lucky to make another Iron Man movie, I'll hopefully get to do some acting and maybe some other movies.
Iron Man producer, Kevin Feige.
We've got Captain America in development, we've got Thor in development, we've got Ant-Man in development, and we'll know in the next few months.
I do want to thank any and all journalists I was with there during the roundtables because we all asked questions as a group, and it really made it a fun time.